All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about what the Fed just did. Jerome Powell just had a speech, and it drastically changes the entire market. So everything changed in a few minutes. I want to go through when it was, what he said, and what we can expect going forward. So if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it's really helping the channel out a lot, and I appreciate it. Lastly, if you want to join the channel and become a member, you can hit the join button on the YouTube page. Members get some members only content. In addition to that, we do a once a week members only live stream, and also the members each week get to pick a video for me to do a deep dive on for members only. So we'd love to see you there. Let's talk about what the Fed just said and what it just did to the market. So first, let me start here on the Qs. This is the QQQs, so this follows the NASDAQ. Each one of these candles is on the 1 hour time frame. So you'll see in just this last hour, we went from a day that was very, very sideways to all of a sudden, bam, straight up in a straight line. And you can see this candle is actually a 3% move to the upside. That is massive. So if we look at the indexes, and these are the very small charts, but the S&P is up 1.87%, but you can see it was red all day and then straight up green. The Dow is up 1.1%. It was red all day and then straight up green. The NASDAQ was actually up a little bit all day. So it was kind of just around even, and then bang, straight up green. It's up 2.9% now. And then the Russell 2000 was in the red all day, and then when the Fed spoke, obviously, boom, same thing, straight up into the green. So this affected everything across the board. I'm also just gonna look at Bitcoin's chart for just a minute because Bitcoin actually did the same exact thing. So you can see a giant pump here. Most of this day was very, very sideways. We were actually heading down a little bit. We're gonna see if everybody holds these gains, but there is a reason that this happened. Jerome Powell sent a gigantic signal today that people have been leaning towards. However, I think this really sealed the deal, and I think that's why the market is reacting to it this way. Let me go to an article. Okay, Powell signals 0.5% rate hike in December, citing need to moderate the pace. Okay, so the big question has been 50 basis points or 75 basis points. We've had a historic 4 meetings in a row where the Fed has raised rates by 75 basis points. So the market was starting to price in 50 basis points right after the Fed met last, and that was up at one point, that was up about at an 85% chance. And since then, it has eroded. It was under 70%. So this is a screen capture from yesterday. You can see 67% of the market yesterday thought we were going to get a 50 basis point rate hike. 32.5% thought we were going to get a 75 basis point hike. Okay, if I refresh and update this chart for today, you're going to see we're up from 67% to 77%. I suspect we're going to get a lot higher than that. At one point, we were over 85% right after the last Fed meeting, and it just kept going. It went from 85 to 80 to 75 to 70, then down to 67%. It looks like yesterday it actually got as low as 66% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike. But it seems to me when we read this article, Jerome Powell's basically saying, we're going to do a 50 basis point rate hike. Now, I'm the ultimate skeptic, so I will say for me, I'll believe it when I see it, but this is a very, very strong signal. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell set the table for a 50 basis point rate hike at the Fed's December policy meeting, saying in a speech on Wednesday, it makes sense to moderate rate hikes as the Fed approaches its estimated peak in benchmark interest rates. Quote, it makes sense to moderate the pace of our rate increase as we approach the level of restraint that will be sufficient to bring inflation down, Powell said in a speech at the Brookings Institute in Washington. The time for moderating the pace of rate increases may come as soon as the December meeting. He's putting that on the table. They're strongly considering they've got to start moderating these rate hikes because they're running out of room. They can only do so many of these. So 75 basis points at a time. We've already done 4 of those in a row. That was one of the most aggressive rate hikes in history. So to bring it down to 50 basis points, although I really did think we were going to get another 75 basis points, I think he's very, very strongly signaling that they are going to slow this thing down. Now, the rest of this goes on to talk about how ultimately we're probably going to have to even get to a higher rate than we thought, and for a longer period of time. So that piece of the puzzle is not necessarily great news. So I think the market's trying to price those two things in at once, that maybe we're going to get a little bit of relief here in December. There is no meeting in January, so that gives some time for these policies to take effect, and maybe, people can be hopeful that by the time the next Fed meeting rolls around, we're starting to look at a little bit better picture. We're starting to get some better CPI reports. So I just think this statement right here, the time for moderating the pace of rate increases may come as soon as the December meeting, that statement is gigantic, and the market had a massive instant reaction to it. Okay, Powell added, the full effect of our rapid tightening so far yet to be felt. Powell reiterated the pace of rate hikes isn't as important as how much further the Fed will raise its benchmark interest rate and for how long the central banks will hold rates at elevated levels. So that's what we were just discussing. He may not go as fast. We may not be getting 75 basis point hikes anymore, but we may end up a half a point or 3/4 of a point higher than we thought we were going to be. And it may last for a longer period of time. People are counting on, really, what's priced into the market is that sometime in the middle of next year, the Fed is going to pause on rate hikes and then start lowering rates. So this is kind of a signal that, maybe don't expect that. Maybe it's going to take a little bit longer than we thought. Quote, it is likely that restoring price stability will require holding policy at a restrictive level for some time, said Powell. History cautions strongly against prematurely loosening policy. We will stay the course until the job is done. So this part is letting everybody know, hey, you think we're going to start lowering rates in May and June and July? Maybe not. We're going to stay and we're going to wait and we're going to watch the data. And he's more worried. He's saying history cautions strongly against prematurely loosening the policy. So he is letting everybody know that that is his default mode, is he will wait this out for as long as he has to see that these are having the effect that he wants them to have. I would say 95% of the stocks on my watch list are now green. It was a decently green day for my list to begin with, but it's dramatically improved. There's some monumentally huge movements in there. For those interested, there are 3 electric vehicle Chinese companies. They are off to the races today. So stock ticker XPEV is up 44% today. Again, this is a Chinese EV play. Stock ticker LI is up 22% today, and NIO, stock ticker NIO, is up 20%. So these are drastic moves to the upside, despite the fact that really XPeng announced their earnings and their forecast, and none of it was really great news. So for whatever reason, this is getting a monumental boost today. It may be that there's word the Chinese are going to ease up on their COVID restraints, and so that may get production back on track and set their economy back in the right direction. I don't know. I don't know why they're reacting this way, but for XPeng to be up 44% in one day is a gigantic move, and I have big moves all over my chart. Okay, so I just wanted this to be a quick video. I wanted to get this out to you guys right away because this did have a massive short-term reaction. You can see we're still green. Our next 1 hour candle has gone into the green, so this persists for the day. So this was a big shot in the arm for the market, and it had seemed to be fading a little bit. So we'll see if this can turn into a catalyst for maybe a rally, or if this is just a one-day event. But in the meantime, I think we can see the market's immediate knee-jerk reaction is way to the upside, and it was a very, very strong signal. The one takeaway I would have is Jerome Powell came just short of saying he's going to do a 50 basis point rate hike in December. So that is not a given, but the chances of that just went up dramatically. Okay, so that's all I got for you on Jerome Powell and the Fed and the effect of what they did. So we're going to have to see over the coming days how this plays out. So I will stay on top of this and let you guys know if anything else changes. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video.